A bunch of people are asking if I'm going to write about the West Elm Caleb story. No, I'm on book leave. I can't keep writing pieces for the New York Times. I literally do have a lot of deadlines. But journalists who are writing about it, please speak to people with experience in online harassment. I'm not going to lie, I've been pretty horrified by a lot of the media coverage of this. A lot of people are just aggregating some of the cruelest commentary online and whipping it all up into a news story with absolutely no comment from Caleb or nuance about the situation. The top story on Google yesterday was literally this House Beautiful story that doxes Caleb, puts his full name in the story, zero comment from this man. After this whole article gleefully encourages this online harassment and doxing campaign, they literally use him to sell West Elm furniture through affiliate links. Once again, commercializing a harassment and doxing campaign. I think the media needs a total wake-up call in the way that they cover online harassment, and this is just the latest example of it. And reporters should be adding nuance, not just piling on. As someone that covers internet culture, there's a couple things I want to note about this West Elm Caleb situation. So I've written extensively about harassment and public shaming. None of this is a new concept, but I think what we're seeing on TikTok is something different. TikTok is uniquely good at facilitating these kind of mass viral collaborative investigations. So for instance, the most prominent example of this is obviously the Gabby Petito case. But often these investigations veer into essentially classic internet YouTube drama type stuff. And when that involves big influencers, it's fine. I mean, they're big public personalities. But this type of collaborative investigation and kind of doxing is also happening increasingly to just random people, and specifically people on dating apps. I understand the desire to hold shitty men accountable for their shitty behavior. And I think some of the original videos that women made about this guy are in good faith, and they genuinely seem to be wanting to speak about their own experience and kind of bond with others that have had shitty dating experiences like this in New York. But what it's morphed into is really just public shaming and the absolute humiliation and destruction of this man who we fundamentally don't actually know that much about, and we certainly have not heard from. Random people are flooding the West Elm Instagram account with allegations of really serious crimes that there's no evidence that he committed. And TikTok, the platform itself, seems to be spurring on this campaign. And we've seen that social media outrage campaigns against people like this have really serious consequences. It's classic mob mentality, and this can lead to mental health consequences. It can lead to people losing their income. It can really destroy people's lives. There's actually a great HBO documentary co-produced by Monica Lewinsky that talks about public shame and the really, really harmful consequences for those who are subject to it. But as a journalist, I just find it really scary to watch how widespread and pervasive these things can become and the way that TikTok helps facilitate them. And also, you have to remember that anytime there's these big kind of internet outrage cycles, people capitalize on it. There are people repackaging, Caleb drama content, spurring outrage specifically for views. And people on TikTok will believe anything about anyone with zero evidence, as we've seen time and time again. And online harassment is such a misnomer. I think it's a huge problem because harassment is a tool to silence people, especially women and people of color, or people from marginalized identities, for speaking out. And there's a very intentional goal behind it. It's obviously it's death threats and all of that and rape threats on the daily. And it's not just Twitter, it's every single surface, right? My cell phone number getting out there, people calling, people harassing my family members, stalking me, all of that is incredibly terrifying and invasive. And it's bled out into the physical world too, which is even more terrifying, right? Yeah. But to me, I think what especially the media needs to understand about this is, in terms of protecting their own reporters, is this is just a tool. Harassment is a tool to kind of discredit and silence journalists. And the right-wing media plays along with it, right? You mentioned Tucker Carlson.
You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life. And it's so isolating.
And terrifying.
It's horrifying. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
It's overwhelming. It's really hard.
It's called boundaries, people. It's called boundaries. And I'm not talking Rachel Hollis bullshit where she made her a whole thing about her relationship and then, she divorced and didn't want to talk about it. I just mean average content creators are entitled to have parts of their offline life that you won't know about, and you don't need to go on some deep investigative journey. Also, I'm not sub-talking anyone. This is just something I've noticed in the comments, and as a reporter, people are constantly asking me to dig up weird details about people's lives. So yeah, let's make 2022 a year of boundaries.